Ladies and gentlemen, Tottenham have got some potential brilliant news. First of all, Thomas Frank has been appointed as the new Spurs boss, and I am very optimistic about the future of this football club under Thomas Frank. I think he's a fantastic manager who can adapt, who has a completely different philosophy and understanding of the game we call football to Ange Postecoglou, and he might just be bringing Brentford star player. We already know that the first team assistant has joined Spurs as well, but it could be a really good day for us. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts on every single topic we discuss. Make sure you get over and check out the transfer video from earlier today. The road to 60,000 subs is well and truly on. If you haven't already, please go down and smash the granny out of that subscribe button. We're under 700 subs away now from 57k. Now, Sky Sports have come out. Lyle, I think it's Lyle. Is it Lyle Thomas? I think that's his name. Sky Sports Lyle. I think it is Lyle Thomas. And Michael Bridge, Michael Bridge, actually a Spurs fan from Sky Sports, have come out with potentially an update regarding Bryan Mbeumo. And it says Tottenham have held internal discussions with Brentford about a deal for Bryan Mbeumo. Spurs are interested in obviously in Mbeumo and Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo. Both players are obviously Tottenham are big admirers of. Mbeumo is understood to be more intrigued by a move to Tottenham now that Thomas Frank has become their head coach. Spurs have received encouragement about a potential deal now that Dane has made the switch to North London. So Thomas Frank obviously leading this Spurs team going forward. He's the new first team head coach. Bryan Mbeumo really does excite me, and I'm very intrigued at the thought of him playing for Tottenham. He's 25 years of age. He's a versatile player who can play in the 9, can play on the right, but I believe he can play on the left. His record last season across all competitions was 42 games played, 20 goals, and 9 assists. He's a very good player for me. I've been a fan of Bryan Mbeumo for such a long time now. His record in the Brentford shirt is very good. Thomas Frank put together that front three of Benrahma, Tony, Tony and Watkins. Then he's replaced him with the likes of Bryan Mbeumo. He's got a very good track record of signing players. He approved the signing of Nordegaard and Damsgaard and Wieser. So his talent ID for me is very good, and I do believe he could be a very good piece of business this could be for Spurs. In terms of Semenyo, I feel equally he is as good. I feel I don't know why there's a McDonald's advert coming up on Transfer Market, but each to their own. Bryan Mbeumo for me would be my preferred option. I'll get to Semenyo in a second. When you look at his output in a Brentford shirt, it is very good across all competitions. Of course, in the Championship, his contract expires June 30th, 2026. Now, Brentford do have the opportunity to extend that for one more year. Now, it's important to note that his preferred destination apparently is Manchester United. David Ornstein did say a few weeks back that he has told everyone his preferred destination is United. Now, a record of 72 GA in 136 games is over 1 goal contribution every 2 games. It's a very good record. That's just in the Premier League. His record for Brentford is 131 GA in 242 games, which is over 0.5 GA per game, per every other game. So it's very good, his output. I think when you look at his wages, when you look at his actual underlying numbers, he ticks a lot of the boxes for me. He can create his own individual chances. Now, Brandon Johnson does have a high output of GA, but a lot of his goal contributions are at the back post, where he has become a back post merchant. Whereas Bryan Mbeumo can come off the right, drift into the box. He's only on £45,000 a week, which Tottenham can significantly improve. And Man United will probably pay him more wages, but this is where Tottenham need to break this wage duck and stop paying people under 100,000 or 150,000 wages. If Bryan Mbeumo wants 150k, put him on it. 20 league goals last season with 7 assists. 27 GA in 38 games. It's a very, very good return. Now, when you look at his numbers against other forwards, pass attempted, top 3%. Shot creating actions, top 4%. Progressive passes, top 4%. Progressive carries, top 3%. Successful take on 6, top 8% of all players in Europe. Progressive passes received, top 3%. Tackles, interceptions, clearances, they're all really, really high. Non-penalty XG, obviously, there's a lot of people that have got higher goals than him, but that's based on 3,414 minutes. So that isn't, based on just a few games. Now, Semenyo is another player that we are very, very interested in. Antoine Semenyo, 25 years of age, 11 goals and 5 assists in the Premier League last season. Another good player. I do prefer Bryan Mbeumo, but he did have 20 GA in 42 games. Another one who can come off the left, drift into the box on the right, open his body up and get the shot away, creates his own chances. 20 GA in 42 games playing for a team like Bournemouth is not a bad record at all. If you look at their underlying numbers, Bryan Mbeumo's numbers are better. Now, there are some pros and cons to signing both. Semenyo is obviously probably going to be the cheaper option. Bryan Mbeumo is going to be the more expensive option. I believe Bryan Mbeumo will be going to the African Cup of Nations next season as well. And I believe Semenyo will, because I believe his representation is actually to play for Ghana. Now, he's on £5,000 a week wages less, but he doesn't necessarily have Manchester United knocking on his door. We know Arsenal are right in the race, as well as Chelsea. £50,000 a week for 11 goals and 5 assists in 37 games. His numbers, I don't think, are as good as Bryan Mbeumo's per 90 when you compare him. So you can't really compare him to a forward. His blocks, clearances, aerial duels won, successful take-ons, total shots are quite high. I do believe Bryan Mbeumo would be a better option for Spurs. It gives us a lot more quality going forward. For me, he'd be our best forward, Bryan Mbeumo, whereas I think Semenyo is close to Brennan Johnson levels. Maybe Brennan Johnson's better, maybe Semenyo's better. But I do believe we could have a really, really good forward coming into the football club. And the fact that Thomas Frank is now the head coach of Tottenham, according to these journalists, that could potentially twist Bryan Mbeumo's arm. Spurs have got encouragement about a potential deal. We can't let this drag out now, though. We have to, get the ball rolling. Tottenham have held into, this is coming out from Tottenham Tears. Bryan Mbeumo is understood to be more intrigued about a move to Tottenham now that Thomas Frank has become their head coach. Spurs have received encouragement about a potential deal. Now the Dane has made the switch. North London, that's coming out from, of course, Sky Sports Lyle. The same tweet, just from a different Twitter account. So in terms of Bryan Mbeumo, in terms of Semenyo, I think what's more realistic is probably Semenyo. But I do think the club have to make a statement signing. We have to go out there and make a big, big signing. There's money to burn at this football club. There's money to spend. You're also probably going to bring in around £60 million for the departure of Christian Romero. He said yesterday, he tweeted out something basically saying his goodbyes to Ange Postecoglou only an hour before Thomas Frank was announced. I think the timing was a bit silly there. He probably should have done that the day before, but it's clear to see that he wants to move away from this football club. Now, Spurs yet to submit a bid for Bryan Mbeumo, and there's been further interest in him from other Champions League clubs on the continent. That's coming out from Sami Mokbel. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens to Bryan Mbeumo. If it's Spurs and Man United, Spurs have to show the ambition to match whatever Manchester United are willing to pay and match whatever, match whatever, they want to pay. I believe, yesterday, Cuti Romero coming out and saying that, probably not the best of timings, but today, if we can give some positive news to all our fans that we are prepared to pay the money for Bryan Mbeumo, I think the feeling in the fan base, because a lot of people are down that Ange is gone. I think we'd be very, very optimistic about the signing of Bryan Mbeumo. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're closing on 60,000 subscribers. There will be a second video out. Video out on the second channel. So make sure you go down more Henry Talks Football, and I'll see you all soon.